And it's a quick road test video. This is for a Lexus IS250 and this is the SEL model. So I'm just going to adjust my microphone a second. This particular car is registered LS07GHH and mileage at the start of this road test is 59,896 miles. The reason for the road test is, as I say in every video, very simple. We just want customers to see the cars we're selling actually in operation prior to coming to see us. That way, if there are any issues on the vehicle, we can and we do relay them back to you. It's the whole point of the video. We've, much like many people, been on the receiving end of going to see cars where we've asked if there's any problems with the car, just to find out there's a glaring fault with the car which we should have been told about, and it can be enormously frustrating and a complete waste of time. So that's why we do it. Road tests are also done on the same very quiet country roads just outside our premises, and these are the roads on which any test drive will take place. So starting with the car, engine, push button starts absolutely immediately. Very smooth engines, these absolutely wonderful units. Almost silent in operation. It's an amazing engine. But when you do it, extend it, it's got a lovely V6 howl to it when it revs round. But it's just the power delivery. Beautifully smooth. Just worth pointing out, absolutely no warning lights on the dashboard relating to the engine or any other part of the car. Temperature gauge running at just under half, which is exactly where it should be on a Lexus vehicle as well. Engine then goes through into the auto gearbox. Typical Lexus box, beautifully smooth in operation. Doesn't jerk free, judder free, doesn't get confused or labour at all. It's just a wonderful companion to the engine. And what's lovely about it is the fact that you've got a really nice combination. As I've said in many of my previous videos, it would have been tempting for Lexus to put a small engine in the car at the time, 2 litre for tax reasons or other reasons, but it would have spoiled the car. The engine would have had to work harder. Real world fuel economy would have suffered because you're having to work the engine that much harder the whole time. But this is just the perfect combination of the right amount of power and torque for the size of the car and the kind of performance you'd expect to get for this type of vehicle. But in terms of this test drive and this car, engine, gearbox, absolutely perfect. They're in wonderful fettle, they really are. Steering of the car tracks bullet straight. There's no vibration coming back to the steering wheel at all on the vehicle. I'll check that at higher speeds in a minute as well. But all very smooth and free of any obvious wear in the system as well. It's going to go through an independent MOT very shortly, so that it'll be picking up on anything at all on the vehicle, but it feels incredibly tight and taut to drive. The steering's really well matched to the car as well. They've done a very nice job, nicely weighted, quick in response but not over quick where it makes the car nervous. It means you can sort of drive through corners, you just sort of kind of glide through, flows really nicely, and it's very well matched to the chassis of the vehicle, which is incredibly comfortable, very smooth, but without losing any composure. It's a very nicely set up car. What I'm looking for on these road tests is when it goes over a bump like that one there, you can hear it going over the bump, albeit it's quite subdued in one of these cars. I'm just listening out for any kind of secondary noises, any sort of clonks, bangs, or anything coming from underneath the vehicle, but there's nothing at all. It's all very smooth indeed. When I get around the corner, I'll give the brakes a bit of a shove as well, just to don't want to do it on a bend. Yeah, they crack you out. They're very powerful indeed. So the brakes, very good. There's no pulsing, no vibrations coming back through, and they actuate very well indeed. There's a good, powerful setup on the car, always has been. Also worth pointing out, just been driving there at the legal limit at 60 miles an hour. It's noticeable just how quiet these cars are. They're very quiet cars. But again, sort of thing I'm looking out for on test drive is just where there's any kind of wind hiss coming into the vehicle. That's normally a sign that you've got a windscreen seal or door seal damaged on the car, and it would kind of ruin the refinement of the vehicle. But it's all very, very, very quiet in here. Cruise control function, that works exactly as it should as well. Heated seats are working beautifully. I've got those on at the moment, and I'm just going to check the cooling of the seats as well whilst I'm at it. Looking around inside the car, I mean, they are, as always, saying of it, the adverts, I mean, they are beautifully made cars. Obviously SEL specs, so it's a big specification car, but on top of which this one benefits, as you can clearly see, from the multimedia pack. So we've got the sat-nav, reverse parking camera, it's all working absolutely perfectly. That cooled seat works very effectively, almost too effectively, so I'm going to turn it off now. But it's, the display's working absolutely as it should, all the features working as they should as well. Mark Levinson's stereo is absolutely wonderful, so if you like your music, you'll love the stereo in this car. Because it's so quiet, you can really pick out the kind of the high-pitched stuff, and sort of I do like my music, and it's one of the very best systems you can sit with. But it's all just in wonderful condition as well. It's you feel as though you're in a premium quality car, which you clearly are in this car. I mean, look at it further across the dashboard on the main binnacle here. Very classy display, minimalist in lots of ways, but really nicely done. Everything working exactly as it should. The pixelation on all the readouts exactly as they should be as well. As I say in sort of some of the videos for these SELs particularly, I mean, a lot of my customers that buy these have had Lexus before, so they know what they're getting basically. So it's a bit of a given for them. Those who haven't had them, normally cross-shop them between, similar sort of marks, if you like, in terms of kind of prestige or otherwise, things like BMW, Mercedes, and possibly Audi. I mean, there are other manufacturers, within this sort of sector, but those are the obvious candidates. And as I've always maintained, they're all good cars in their own right. They really are. It's not to say they're not good cars. They fundamentally are. But what the Lexus gives, I think, over all of them quite clearly is, real world reliability and build quality is unmatched. No one can argue it. They are the most reliable car in this class by a country mile. It's as simple as that. But that would mean nothing, of course, if the car was a total dog to drive, and clearly it isn't. I think actually, let's just stop here because there's a huge bus. Where's he going to go? It's going to be a bit of a tight squeeze. I think we'll get through there okay. Yeah, I mean, I would always dismiss the Audi personally. I don't like generally sort of front wheel drive cars, as a sort of, you've got a better balance with rear wheel drive. You've not got power going through the front wheels to sort of pollute the steering. It's a purer drive for me, but it's only marginal. It really is. But these are miles more dynamic in the real world than those. They ride far better. It's a less wooden car. Mercedes, very nice car, C-Class, very quiet, very similar in terms of refinement to these and ride quality. But again, slightly stodgier to drive, and the engines aren't as nice. But again, personal opinion. It's closest for me is probably the 3 Series. The 3 Series is more overtly sporting. There's no two ways about it. Put them on a racetrack, the 3 Series would win. But we're not on the racetrack. We're on a public road, and this section of road particularly, which is really quite bumpy and yumpy, is where the biggest difference between this and a 3 Series is. These glide along here, but they're still composed, they're still nice and dynamic, but what they aren't is harsh, and the 3 Series is really harsh along this kind of road. I find them unbearably so, but as I said, each to their own. The other thing, of course, is it all falls back to running the vehicles and issues that you have, and none of them can hold a light to the Lexus in that sense. As I said at the start of the video, the whole point of the video is to pick up any issues on the car. I can't find anything on the car to report back. It drives absolutely beautifully. It really, really does. They're fabulous cars, and this is just a very, very nice example. It's going to be serviced and MOT'd prior to sale. If, however, I've missed anything on this video, then as always, don't hesitate, give me a call, I'll answer any questions you might have, but it is a lovely car.